Hi everybody. We've been in a little pause here because of all this craziness with this awful pandemic that Massachusetts has been really hit hard, you guys. We're probably the third hardest hit state behind New York and New Jersey, so things have been tough, but we've been really working hard and cleaning the shop up and getting it ready, and today is May 18th, Patrick?
Yep.
And today is the first phase the governor announced of some businesses opening up, including manufacturers, which I am. So I'm really excited about that. Very limited, but at least we're here and we feel good about that, and we're doing by appointments in the shop. But we're back, and check out our video about the reopening on YouTube, which has been posted. I think it's just been posted, so take a look at that. But I want to start with a piece that during this whole thing we picked up, and this is a piece. It's a Stickley, it's a modern Stickley. I'd say it's about 25 years old, and this is a very challenging piece. And I think it's a great piece to highlight for you guys. I don't usually show this aspect of my business. I don't think I've ever done a video like this one, and we've done over 150 now, I think, maybe closer to 200 if I'm not mistaken, videos on YouTube. But this one, I've never talked about how, as a professional upholsterer, you have to portray yourself as somebody that really cares about the furniture, which I do, but sometimes the customer needs to be shown that and demonstrated that, and this video is about that. So it starts with the customer coming into your shop to check you out. I mean, even if, no matter what they read online, you could be perfect online, they still want to come in and meet you to see where you work and to see what the space looks like. So make sure your space is clean as you could be as an upholsterer. I know that that's tough sometimes, but it is important. You don't have to be a slob to be sweeping as much as you can. The shop is ultra clean right now, and we're going to have to really try even harder to be clean. We're going to be, because of these new guidelines that we have, and we want to make people feel good about coming into the shop. But anyhow, we did that to a certain point before. But so this particular customer had to come in to meet me. We shook hands. His wife came in. We had a nice talk. And he told me he had these beautiful pieces, and I knew what he had, and I was excited about doing them. But he gave us the job, and so that was the first step. Or the first step was the presentation on the web. The second step was him coming in. The third step was picking the piece up. So we went out, two guys, not one, to pick up the piece, and we had cushioning with us so that I didn't pick both pieces up intentionally. There's another piece for this. So we didn't want to pile them into the van. So we're picking up one at a time. He lives a little further away. I would say he lives about almost an hour, 45 minutes to an hour away from the shop. And so we're committed to keeping this piece of furniture as clean as possible and non-marked. This is a cherry wood, and it's done in a beautiful cherry finish. But cherry wood is not the hardest wood. It's an easy wood to mill, but it's not a hard wood like oak. I think on a 1 to 10 scale, cherry comes in at about a 6, 10 being the hardest. Oak's at a 9. Oak's a little harder to mill to get these beautiful lines that you see here. So I do want to show the lines, the crisp lines that we have here, the crisp lines, but they're also soft. So we went to pick up the van. We put this in the middle of the van. We have on the floor. We have a wooden floor that I made, not the rubber. The rubber is good at holding the piece, but it's not so good on the bottom of the furniture, right? It gets those marks, and if this goes on a carpet, you can mark the carpet. So all this stuff is well thought out. The customer doesn't know or see a lot of this. This particular customer noticed when we put this in the van, we padded all the sides up with this really thick cushioning, so they couldn't move. I didn't even want to use bungee cord or rope to wrap around this beautiful soft wood. That's why I brought the cushion. So there's a lot of thought that went into before we even got to the customer's house. Of course, we were very careful taking it out. And then we had the benefit of the extra cushions that actually went on the piece to pile that around. And then we got it to the shop. Very important, right? I'm going to transition these pieces out fast. That's another thing. If you're going to be doing really high quality antiques, you want to schedule it so that you're going to be working on it, and you're not going to be leaving it on the floor. No matter how careful you are, the longer you have a piece of furniture hanging around the shop, the more likely something's going to happen. So this has to transition fast. But I want you guys to notice, look at on the legs are inside the horses. They're not touching the horses, and there's a well. This piece is not going to fall off the horses either. So I'm ready to go. I'm ready to be prepped. I haven't even gotten to the stripping, but look at all the work that I've done so far. Okay, I do not want any marking on that wood at all. Okay, especially a ding. One ding along this edge here, and that's costly. So I want to be real careful. So I have this all by itself. It's all clean. So usually I can have an array of tools when I'm stripping a regular piece of furniture, like the mallet, a small little tack remover, a chisel sometimes, an awl. Another gadget that we use, pulling staples or tacks. Guess what? I can't use any of these, okay? I'm gonna throw these over here. The only thing I'm gonna use on this piece, believe it or not, are my side cutters. Okay, it's like a surgical tool. Okay, I'm gonna use the side cutters. There's also one other thing I'm gonna use. I'm gonna use leverage when I'm taking this apart. Okay, so this is really different than how I strip other pieces of furniture. I really have to focus. I really have to slow down a little bit, and I have to think every time I pull. I can't be using the wood on this as leverage. For instance, what I'll show you, it's double piped. So I'm going to show you over here, I guess. I don't know if you can see this angle, maybe not, Michaela. Can you see over here? Maybe not. Can you see that angle? Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start. Notice that I'm going to pull and I'm going to leverage this way. See that? See what happened there? I want to show you. What happened was it slipped off the double welting and my hand went like that. If I were the other way, I would have scratched that. So all your work, all your leveraging is in the inside to the upholstery, not to the wood, okay? So I'm gonna roll it, and then I'm gonna eventually, hopefully get some up, and then I can tear it. Now, tearing is good as long as you're coming this way, and as long as you have a wood, which this is, and I already tested that. Sometimes, if this is hot glued, if it's a veneer, if it's an older piece and it's veneered, you could pull the veneer off. So that's another problem for another day. I'm lucky that this is a beautiful hand-polished wood, that I don't have to worry about that problem at least. So I'm hoping when I pull this double piping, as many of the tacks or staples in this case come with it, okay? So sometimes I can even grab hold of it with my hand, and sometimes I wrap. Look at that, see that, guys? Always at that angle away from the wood. And then I have the fabric that so far I'm happy that it came. The fabric is coming out with the double piping, so that's a bonus. And then I go back and I clean up the wood, around the wood. And when I do that, I'm always going this way, not this way. It's very tempting to use the wood as leverage. Never do that, obviously. So now I have a little bit, there we go. I pull that, and then I'm gonna, okay, good. So that's pretty well cleaned. That's really fortunate, because if this was a heavier fabric, or it wasn't pulling most of the staples out with it, I would be individually trying to grab hold of those staples this way. Okay, so now I want to cut here and show you the back side, which presents other problems on this. So cut. Patrick? All right. So the back side of these Stickleys, they're very important. I notice that sometimes manufacturers, sometimes custom upholsterers either kind of drop the ball on the outside backs. I can never understand why, because a lot of times the outside backs are the first thing, depending on how these are set in the room, that you see. So the back sides are very important. There's actually a lot of detail in the back of this that, you know what, you just don't know it. Your eye picks up nothing really, hardly anything when you're looking at this when this was on, but I want to show you something. There's this little piping, small piping, because the fabric was a thin fabric that runs right along this lip here. You can see that I took it off on this side. If you want to pan over this side, on the other side, I've taken that little piece of piping off, and now I'm at that nice, beautiful, not one ding along this. Look at this, you guys, not one ding along here. If there was a ding in there, it was already there, trust me. So that I have to put that piping back on. Now, the reason I found this interesting was because usually this piece is bolted on in most pieces, but this piece is actually, this is epoxied, okay? So this is all upholstered like a traditional chair would be. Oftentimes these weren't like that. So this is a very well made, well thought of. As I was telling the client, this is an example of woodworkers and upholsterers really working well with one another. Okay, because I noticed that even the original Stickleys it wasn't the case. It looked like they were better woodworkers than they were upholsterers. Okay, but this it has got both things going for it, both elements going for it. So I had to be real careful. I had to take this piece off. All of my motion was this way. So I was away from that finished edge, and I'm going to continue stripping this. And this through here is my inside arm coming through this way, and my inside back, which has to be stapled on top of one another. So it's a very traditional piece, non-traditional Stickley, is non-traditional, but done in a traditional fashion. So I thought that was kind of interesting to show you guys. So I hope you guys learned something. I mean, I think this is the first video where I expressed how important it is for presentation. I think what made me think about this is how we had to totally change the business to make ourselves not only present ourselves well, but we really had to look like an operating room here at the shop. And I'm kind of excited about that, to be able to work. It actually makes me feel good about coming to work in such a clean place, and we have to keep it that way, right? So I hope that you guys have learned something, and if you're an upholstery shop out there, I think even if you're a commercial upholsterer, you may have to be doing the same things I'm doing. We'd like to hear from you in the comment section of this. And please, if I've helped you in any way, subscribe to our videos, because that's how we know how well we are doing, that somebody takes the time to subscribe. So thank you, and check out our Facebook, check out our online classes, check out everything, man. We really appreciate you being a client and customer of ours. Thanks a lot. We'll see you later.